Hey, what's up guys? Thanks for stopping by the channel. So for today's video, we're going to be discussing the latest release to come from the Swiss watch company. And if you followed my channel for a while, you'll know that I've reviewed pretty much every model that SWC has put out. They're a really great family-run micro brand. And the watch in hand today is going to be this guy here. This is the SWC Arc GMT. This is actually kind of like the spiritual successor of their Arc model that was released last year, which is a very well-spec'd titanium quartz field watch that was also very affordable. I think with this one here, it's a little bit more refined. It now comes in stainless steel, and you get the benefit of a second time zone, while still remaining quite affordable. At the time of releasing this video, they informed me that they're pricing these current models at $250 US, which is really hard to beat for the price point when you consider all the features going into this watch. So why don't we turn the camera around now, and you guys can actually take a close-up look at the Arc GMT in the studio. So let's take a closer look at this SWC Arc GMT. And I do think they were quite innovative with giving you a second time zone on this watch. It's not like your traditional GMT layout with an additional GMT hand. What they've done is you can see above the 6 o'clock position, they actually have a cutout in the dial that shows you in a yellow font a second time zone with 24-hour timing. Now this is more of a caller's GMT because you can still read your local time through the traditional handset and Arabic hour markers on the periphery of a dial. But then if you were to pull out the crown into the intermediate position here, you can independently cycle through the 24-hour time. So that would be like your destination time zone that you can set that way. And then if you pull the crown out all the way on this watch, you can actually adjust your local time, and you can also see that this also will drive and advance the second time zone that's provided in the cutout above the 6 o'clock position there. Now, in case you're wondering, the Swiss quartz movement inside this watch happens to be a Ronda 515.24. So that 24 I think is for the 24-hour designation. And you did see that it is a hackable quartz movement, and it has a fairly long battery life of about 40 months. Now, another nice feature about the Arc GMT is that it's a fairly wearable watch. I measure the case diameter here at 39 millimeters, and then if you take a look at the side profile, the lug-to-lug between my thumbs comes in at an even 46 millimeters. These lugs do arc and conform to your wrist quite well. And you can also see that it's a fairly thin watch. I grabbed the total height of this timepiece at 9.6 millimeters. That is from the bottom of the case back, which is screwed down, but also carries the SWC and Arc GMT logo there. And then to the top of a flat sapphire crystal, which by the way carries 16 layers of anti-reflective treatment, and I do think that that's evenly distributed on the underside and the top side of a crystal, but you can see there's barely any reflections, and this watch overall is extremely legible. And the final measurement I'll like to mention is that the lug opening for the supplied leather strap here is an even 20 millimeters, with the strap tapering down to about 18 millimeters as you get to the tail portion. And then if you flip it over, you can actually see that the backing for the strap is a nice rubber, and it also has quick release spring bars, which is kind of cool. And then at the level of the buckle, you do have a signed and high polish SWC branded buckle for this particular strap. Now, I would like to mention, for whatever reason, that this strap is a little bit short if you have a wrist size that's a little over 7.5 inches. So that is my wrist circumference. But the head of the watch overall wears very comfortably. You can see down the barrel that it just conforms to your wrist, and it's quite low in profile. It'll easily slide under my sleeve or any dress cuff, no problem whatsoever. And I do want to mention, because this watch has fairly small dimensions and a lightweight strap, it only comes in at 59 grams, so it's suitable and very comfortable for all day wear. So moving on to one of my favorite aspects of this watch, which is just the dial design. I really enjoy this burgundy colorway that SWC put out. And if you're not a fan of this particular color, they will be releasing the Ark GMT in a few different color options. Now, this is also a curved dial, which is really cool and gives you a bit more depth and dimension for a watch that's overall very thin in profile. So note that at the very periphery, you do have Arabic numerals for all the hour indexes, and then from there it slopes inward as you get towards the hand stack. And personally, I love their choice of the handset having syringe style hour and minute hands. And then the arrow-tipped seconds hand there is nicely color matched with that pop of yellow that's used on the second time zone feature, as well as the hash marks as you get towards the Arabic markings. Now, potential downside to this dial layout is that there's actually not a running minute track at the very periphery there, so it might be a little bit difficult to get an accurate read on time if you're anywhere outside of the cardinal hour markings that are there. But with other color options available from SWC, they do have running minute tracks on a couple of different options for you. Now, in terms of low light legibility, this watch is very well equipped with a generous application of BGW9 grade A superluminova. And I will say that it's evenly applied. It seems to be a little bit more potent on the hour markers as opposed to the handset, but getting orientation with this watch is very easy to do. With respect to water resistance, this watch is rated for 100 meters, even though you're not getting a screw down crown. Although this pull-out crown does have a few O-rings for added water resistance, and it's quite beefy and sturdy, so I appreciate the size of the crown, and it's even signed with that SWC logo. And then just for size comparison, I'm just going to hold up my recently acquired SWC Hyper G Pilot watch, which I purchased with my own money. This one is 40 millimeters, and it's also in grade 5 titanium. But I mean, just look at how well both watches are finished. I'm really surprised that you're getting this level of finishing and just overall robustness for Swiss watches that are well below $1,000. So before wrapping up this review, I do like to talk about potential points for improvement. And these are really just personal things, so you can take it or leave it. Starting off with the cutout that gives you the second time zone feature, I do think it's overly large, and you can actually see multiple numerals there. So sometimes it's hard just to discern exactly what your second time zone is. Also, most GMTs that I know will also have a date complication, and I think that would be appreciated here. Although that being said, it would kind of break up the overall symmetry, and I'm not sure how that would be worked into a Swiss Ronda movement. And lastly, just with respect to the strap, which I find the quality is quite comfortable for this price point, but it's not long enough to suit larger wrists out there. So I am hoping that they will consider just adding a longer strap when this watch gets more broadly released. But at the end of the day, I do think SWC did a good job kind of refining their original Arc and just giving you something a little bit different. Now, I will say, if you really just want a great tool watch that's very affordable, go with the original Arc that's made in titanium. But if you just want something that's more aesthetically appealing and you don't see every day, then I think this Ark GMT is a really good option. And as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section of this video. And if you do enjoy the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me out a ton. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. And as always, I can't wait to catch you guys in the next video.